I've always thought about it, you know. Being a housewife is like being unemployed. You just do the housework and you don't have to worry about living expenses. It's really an easy job. If I were a woman, I'd definitely choose to be a housewife. A tipsy Harry said this with a carefree, innocent laugh. Today, we were visiting my in-laws' house and having a family dinner with relatives gathered around. Only the relatives near Harry and I heard these words, and it was clear turned them off. However, I simply stated the facts to my husband calmly. Harry, you do know I've already gotten a job offer, right? So, I'm not a housewife. No way, a woman like you getting a job? Don't underestimate the real world. But hey, it was funny, so I'll let it slide. Harry's chuckle turned into a roar of laughter, but I remained calm. He didn't know, but I did. It was he who underestimated the real world. Hey, Harry, what's up? You seem to be having a great time. Something funny happen? Or is it because Mary has been doing so well with the housework, you just got a bit carried away? Harry's laughter was so loud that it must have reached my in-laws sitting at a distance. They seemed interested in our conversation and came closer, making Harry whisper in a panic. Yeah, that's right. Just like Mom said, Mary's been doing great with the housework. It seemed like Harry was trying to ride along with his mother's words, trying to brush it off with some casual remarks. But I wasn't going to let the conversation just drift away like that. So, I decided to interrupt and express my gratitude to my in-laws. Mom, Dad, thank you so much for today. No, managing the house and also choosing to work outside, that's really impressive. Balancing both must be tough. But Mary is trying to take on a challenge. That's why we wanted to support her as much as we could. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear you say that. Huh? What do you mean Mary is working outside? In fact, today's dinner also serves as a celebration for my new job. My husband, Harry, had a puzzled look on his face, unaware of this development. Huh? Harry didn't know about Mary's job offer? We thought Harry would naturally know, so we didn't tell him about the job celebration. My in-laws said this, tilting their heads at my husband's reaction. No way, Mary's working? Why would she need to do that? With my salary, we're not struggling to live. I'm getting recognized by my boss, especially the CEO, and promotion is a sure thing. My salary is going to increase even more, you know? Harry said this with a boastful air, turning into somewhat of a braggart. Despite my in-laws saying it was a celebration for my employment, he wouldn't believe it. True, Harry is a so-called elite employee at a major corporation, thriving in his role. While it might be true that he's valued by the CEO, knowing his true character would surely change that evaluation. Harry, you're getting too carried away. It's good to have confidence in your job, but try to be a bit more humble. But indeed, maybe Mary doesn't need to work. Why did you suddenly decide to get a job? My in-laws said this, admonishing my overly confident husband yet also wondering why I decided to work. Faced with their inquiry, I decided to reveal a fact unknown to my in-laws. It's because we don't have any savings. If I don't work, our living situation will become difficult. What? No savings? Why? No way, Mary, what are you talking about? Harry said he's working at a big company with a high income. There shouldn't be an issue of having no savings, right? My in-laws said this, tilting their heads in disbelief. I guess it's hard to believe, huh? Normally, what my in-laws are saying would be right. With my husband's income exceeding $200,000, it's unthinkable not to have savings. But that's if you're thinking normally. While listening to the exchange between me and my in-laws, my husband, Harry, had a smug smile on his face. Then, he started speaking with a mocking attitude. Oh girl, what are you even talking about here? Aren't Mom and Dad just disappointed? Mary, are you drunk or what? I'm not drunk, you know? Really? If you're saying that sober, then that's even more concerning. Harry said, bursting into laughter. Even for my in-laws, the situation was too outlandish to believe just by words. So, maybe it's understandable they'd think this way at this point. But he won't be laughing for long. I can prove we don't have any savings. Look at this. Saying that, I showed something to my husband and in-laws. Is this a bank balance? Did you prepare this just for now? But indeed, looking at this will tell us whether what Mary is saying is true or not. Just as my in-laws mentioned, what I showed them was the bank balance for our joint account. Both of them looked closely at the balance, but immediately after, their expressions turned to shock, their mouths gaping open in astonishment. What's this about? Only $600 in savings? Harry, what's the meaning of this? Explain yourself. I can't believe what Mary was saying is actually true. Both turned to Harry with stern faces, pressing him for answers. Finally, a hint of panic appeared on Harry, who had been all too complacent until now. Hey, Mary, why do you even show the bank balance on you? No, wait, Mom, Dad, this isn't what it looks like. Harry was surprised that I show the bank balance, but more than that, he seemed desperate to explain away the lack of savings to his parents. It's because of work-related expenses. I needed the money for that. Even so? Yes, that's right, isn't it? Harry tried to smooth talk his way into their understanding, but my in-laws were clearly not convinced, exchanging doubtful glances. Come on. Let's drop this topic. I need money for work-related things, so it'd really help if Mary could work too. That settles it, right? He suddenly pretended to accept my job as if it made all the sense in the world, trying to forcefully change the subject, but it was a no-go. Because I already knew everything. We can't end this conversation with such a lie. Hey, what are you planning to say now? I was about to expose Harry's secret. Sensing the dangerous air, Harry appeared extremely flustered upon hearing my words. Our lack of savings is because you've been spending money on another woman, isn't it? I know you've been cheating. What did you say? Harry was taken aback by the sudden revelation, panicking but not immediately believing my words. He slowly began to speak after a pause. Hey, what are you talking about? If you're gonna lie, at least come up with a better one. There's no way I'd cheat. This isn't funny at all. With that, Harry completely denied the affair, dismissing it as nonsense. The surprise of the affair allegation and their unwillingness to believe their son could do such a thing mixed together, leaving my in-laws visibly confused. Why are we suddenly talking about an affair? Isn't this rather disrespectful to Harry? Do you have any proof? I guess words alone aren't enough to convince them. It's natural for my in-laws to want to disbelieve. As my mother-in-law said, it seems necessary to present some evidence. So, I took out my phone to show them a particular image. I do have proof. Please, look at this image. Who is this woman? Mom, do you know her? No, I don't know her. Why is he entering such an expensive place with this person? The image showed an unfamiliar woman and Harry entering upscale brand stores and restaurants together. After a surprised reaction, Harry's expression quickly turned to anger, and he raised his voice. Hey, why do you have this picture? Are you into some creepy hobby of taking secret photos? That's messed up. Harry cheating? That's ridiculous. But after seeing this picture, it's hard to deny, isn't it? Upon seeing the evidence of the affair, my in-laws were clearly troubled and shocked that it might be true. Sensing the situation was turning dire, Harry seemed to think it was better to convince his parents rather than blame me, and turned to them to start explaining. Well, yes. The woman in the picture is a colleague from work. She wanted to surprise her boyfriend with a gift, so I, representing the guys, accompanied her to give advice. Is that really true? If that's the case, it's a relief it was just a misunderstanding with Mary, right? Relief? Hardly. She might accuse me of the same thing again in the future. I think I need to make things clear to Mary to prevent that. Harry was trying to win over his parents with plausible reasons. Naturally, his parents would want to believe their own son's words. So, it wouldn't be surprising if they were persuaded by him. However, as much as I hate to say it, I knew the story Harry just told was a lie. Harry, there's no use saying that. I know that woman isn't your colleague but an employee from a client company. What are you arbitrarily deciding and talking about? Really, stop it. As expected, Harry wouldn't admit it. He claimed I was just making assumptions, which seemed to sway my in-laws. But what I'm about to say should convince them. Ready to reveal more, I slowly began to speak. I'm sorry to make you sad, Mom and Dad. But I'm not just making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Because I've found out who Harry's affair partner is. Her name is Natalie, right? What? How do you know about Natalie? When I mentioned the affair partner's name, Harry was visibly shocked. My in-laws reacted similarly. There was a reason I knew the name of the other woman. Because the company that offered me a job is where Natalie works. Huh? What are you saying? That means you're working with a client of my company? That's a huge lie, no way I'd believe that. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. I'm just stating the facts. Harry tried to cover up by saying the affair partner was a colleague at his company, but in reality, she was going to be my colleague. That's how I knew he was lying. Hey Harry, what's this about? Were you lying to us after all? Lying means you were trying to hide the affair, right? What's it gonna be, Harry? Answer me. No, wait a second. There's also a chance that Mary is lying, isn't there? Right after, I showed Harry a piece of paper. It was the job offer letter. Even my husband, who had belittled the idea that I could get a job, finally seemed to believe and fell silent. My in-laws looked at Harry with stern faces, and panic was evident on his face. By the way, I haven't revealed my identity to Natalie yet. So, she shouldn't realize I'm Harry's wife. Are you serious? You really got a job at the same company as Natalie? What's your aim in all this? I intended to put silent pressure on Natalie. Plus, I wanted to see the situation for myself. There was a chance that Natalie was also being deceived by you. What do you mean I deceived Natalie? I mean, you might have pretended to be single while dating Natalie. After all, Harry, you never treated me as your wife. Harry must have assumed I was incapable of taking any action. But that was a huge mistake. I was already prepared. Prepared to expose all of Harry's true nature to my in-laws right here and now. Harry, sensing my determination, grew increasingly pale. Not treated as a wife? Mary, what does that mean? It means I've been mistreated by Harry all along. Hey, stop saying things that could cause misunderstandings. It's not a misunderstanding. You've called me an unemployed leech, living off my support, and mocked me for being a housewife as if I'm just freeloading. As I clarified the reasons, my in-laws looked at Harry with disbelief. Glancing around, I noticed several relatives nearby silently nodding. Earlier, Harry had said this in front of me and those relatives. I've always thought about it, you know. Being a housewife is like being unemployed. You just do the housework and you don't have to worry about living expenses. It's really an easy job. If I were a woman, I'd definitely choose to be a housewife. Being able to say such malicious words with a laugh is just like my husband. The relatives understood that it wouldn't be surprising if such a husband was mistreating his wife. Harry works outside, but I wasn't. So, he always acted like he was superior. Whenever I had any complaints, he'd immediately threaten me with divorce. That's because you wouldn't do as I say. I had tried to take care of the house in my own way, but my husband refused to acknowledge it, imposing his views on me and continually telling me, "You're no good." He knew I couldn't talk back. I had failed at getting a job several times before, and I already had low self-esteem. Harry, you took advantage of that, didn't you? Being told I was no good by Harry made my self-esteem even lower. That's why I ended up just doing whatever you wanted. I wasn't trying to make you do whatever I say. It's just how things ended up, wasn't it? My husband was desperate to find an excuse, but the more he tried, the more suspicious my in-laws became of him. Maybe it was my weakness that made me compliant. But the problem was when you started mistreating me. What are you trying to say? The period when you started going out more, using our savings, and stopped contributing money to the household almost coincided with when you began mistreating me. That's why I started suspecting your affair. When I said this, my husband's face turned pale, and he had no comeback. It seemed he was too preoccupied with his affair to consider anything else, but his actions were enough to raise suspicions of infidelity. Everyone, please listen. Earlier, Harry laughed and told me not to underestimate society. But who's really underestimating society here? No. Shameful as it is to say, it seems to be Harry. Yes, that's right. My question was met with nods from my in-laws, and voices of agreement rose from the other relatives. What, everyone, why? It's not decided yet that I'm in the wrong, is it? Mary could be making all this up. It's no use saying that. Just wait a moment. I'll get something that can definitively prove your affair. After telling my husband this, I briefly left the room to retrieve something. Then, I confronted my husband with it in front of my in-laws and the relatives. This is evidence of your affair that I got by hiring a detective. Can you still find an excuse for this? When did you hire someone to investigate? I can't believe you went that far. Among the evidence was not just the photos I showed earlier on my phone, but the clincher was a photo of the two entering a hotel. Moreover, there were audio recordings as well. I had a great time today. I'm looking forward to our next date. It would be nice if we could spend the entire night together next time. Oh, Harry, you're such a tease. Such statements wouldn't come from someone not having an affair. This was more than enough evidence to confirm the affair. Harry, you really are something. Truly despicable. His own parents had to say such things, showing just how vile my husband's true nature was. The other relatives also cast cold looks towards my husband. With such photos lined up, it was a natural reaction. Hey, Harry, I can't bear being mistreated and cheated on any longer. I'm going back to my parents' house. I'll send the divorce papers later, so be prepared. Saying that, I turned my back on my husband and was about to leave. That's when it happened. Damn it, wait. Getting all high and mighty, I won't forgive you. Suddenly, my husband lost his temper, raised his voice, and lunged at me. No, stop. I felt endangered and thought I had to escape, but my in-laws and the relatives were quicker to react. Mary, watch out! Harry, enough is enough. Mary, are you okay? Thankfully, my in-laws and the relatives managed to restrain my husband. I'm fine, thank you all. It was a close call, but I was really grateful everyone was there for me. After confirming I was safe, my in-laws once again turned to my husband and began to speak. Harry, your thinking is wrong. Mary is by no means an unemployed. You've been able to work without any trouble because Mary has been supporting you, right? I think it's amazing that you can work hard and earn money outside. But it's because Mary properly takes care of the house that you can concentrate on your work with peace of mind. And just because you earned the money, it doesn't mean you can spend it any way you like. Saying this, they tried to gently admonish Harry without provoking him. However, Harry was unreachable by his parents' words. Ugh, I don't want to hear a lecture. She's a housewife, so of course, she should take care of the house. Why does it sound like Mary's doing something amazing? You still don't get it, do you? Mary is not your property. Dad's right. You should apologize to Mary right now for thinking it's only natural for her to do all the housework. My in-laws clearly rejected Harry's way of thinking and told him to apologize to me. Yet, Harry remained unrepentant and scoffed at their words. Shut up, you mediocrities. I'm more capable than anyone. If you have a complaint, earn more than me before you speak. You lot have no right to lecture me."
"What did you say?"
To everyone's astonishment, Harry began to look down on his parents and the relatives. It's true that among those present, Harry was earning the most. But is flaunting that and demeaning others really what a truly capable person does? "I'm securing new contracts left and right, highly recognized by my boss, especially by the CEO. At this rate, I'm on the fast track to promotion." In Harry's mind, a person who can work equals a superior person. But a truly superior person wouldn't demean others like this. Disappointed by Harry's failure to see his mistake, I was overtaken by laughter at the absurdity of his ignorance. I ended up laughing. "What? Why are you suddenly laughing? What's so funny?" "I'm sorry. It seems you're quite confident in your current job, but I know things aren't going as well as you think." "Huh? What do you mean?" "The father of Natalie, with whom you're having an affair, is the CEO of your company." "What? You're kidding, right?" But Natalie never mentioned anything like that. That's because Natalie wants to succeed on her own without relying on her father's influence. Maybe it was too early for her to tell you, don't you think? If that's true, we're in big trouble. If the CEO finds out about this. Harry mumbled, starting to panic. Seeing his reaction, I was convinced he knew nothing. I had already made contact with Natalie during the investigation of the affair. That's when I heard the story from her. Unfortunately, it's impossible to keep this from the CEO. I'll be reporting your affair with Natalie. I told him this and was about to leave for my parents' house once and for all. "Mary, please. Don't tell the CEO." I was wrong. I had no idea Natalie was the CEO's daughter. I must have been deceived by Natalie. I'm a victim too, right? Even if you didn't know, the fact that you mistreated me and had an affair doesn't change. No matter what you say, I won't forgive you. Come on, Dad, Mom, everyone, convince Mary. If you all talk to her, I'm sure she'll understand. As I firmly rejected him, my husband pleaded for help from his parents and the relatives. But there was no one willing to help him.
"I don't know anything about it. It's your own fault. I'm cutting ties with you. I will never help you."
I feel the same as Dad. When my in-laws declared their disownment, the other relatives also surrounded my husband, glaring at him as if to say they felt the same. Overwhelmed by their intensity, my husband finally fell silent. Afterward, I filed for divorce, then returned to my parents' home to live peacefully. Amidst all this, my in-laws came over to apologize once again. "Mary, we're really sorry about what happened last time. Our foolish son has caused you so much trouble. No matter how many times we apologize to you, Mary, it won't be enough. Please, both of you, lift your heads. The one at fault is Harry, not you two. It helps us to hear you say that. Actually, we came today because we have something important to tell you." "Something important?" "Yes, it's about." My father-in-law proceeded to tell me about my ex-husband's current situation. Because I had reported the affair to his company, he lost the trust of the CEO, the story spread throughout the company, and everyone began to look at him with disdain. It seems my ex-husband's performance at work was indeed genuine, which is probably why the betrayal hit the CEO and employees so hard. If he had just stayed focused and behaved, he could have surely made it to the top, as he always said. Instead of climbing the ladder, he's pushed himself into a position where he had to resign voluntarily. It's truly a pathetic story. So that's what happened. It's self-inflicted, but it's such a waste for Harry. If he wanted, my ex-husband could find a job and start over. However, unless he regrets, reflects, and changes his mindset, he's likely to repeat the same mistakes. Meanwhile, I had a chance to speak with Natalie again, and she said, "I heard from my father. Harry was your husband, wasn't he? I'm truly sorry for having a relationship with him without knowing. If Harry was pretending to be single, it's not your fault for not realizing. Please, don't apologize. After she apologized, I decided to forgive Natalie. She also told me she had lost trust in my ex-husband and had broken up with him. Disowned by his parents and relatives and abandoned by Natalie, my ex-husband had become completely isolated. This led to a mental breakdown, leaving him unemployed. This was a perfect example of poetic justice. After some time enjoying my solitude, I eventually remarried. My new husband actively helps with housework and we live a life of mutual respect. Working together, we're sure to lead a happy life. I felt a strong sense of assurance in this belief.